The time is 9:30. We will now call the PlanRVA Full Commission meeting to order, September 14th, 2023. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Whitehead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Waddell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome to everyone. We kind of remarked that after a summer of not having meetings in certain areas and certain commissions and board meetings and abbreviated schedules, that we're glad that everybody showed up, no flip-flops and tank tops. But it seems weird to be in a meeting, other than Mr. Byerly, who just put on a coat for the meeting, would be in shorts and flip-flops for just a few minutes, right?
And it was a struggle, too.
It was a struggle. So welcome. Any comments from board members? Any welcoming comments? It's great to see you all. We'll now do a roll call. Ms. Firestone.
Town of Ashland, Mr. Chambers.
Here.
Dr. McGraw.
Here.
Ms. Abbott. Richland County, Mr. Botters.
Here.
Mr. Spoonhour. Charles City County, Mr. Adkins.
Present.
Mr. Cota. Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll.
I'm here.
Dr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Davy. Ms. Fry. Here. Mr. Holland. Mr. Engel.
He's on his way. He wanted me to let everybody know he's running about 15 minutes behind due to another meeting that he had.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Winslow. Hanover County Vice Chair Davis.
Present.
Mr. Peterson.
Here.
Ms. Pritchard. Mr. Waddell.
Present.
Mr. Whitaker. And Raccoon County, Mr. Baca. Reverend Nelson. Ms. O'Bannon. Mr. Thornton. Ms. Thornton. New Kent County, Mr. Lockwood. Ms. Page. Ms. Pearson. Here. Powhatan County, Mr. Byerly.
Here.
Mr. McClung. Mr. Hall.
Here.
City of Richmond, Mr. Addison. Ms. Lambert. Ms. Lynch. Dr. Newbill. Mr. Poole. Ms. Robertson. And Mr. Giovia.
Here.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call for attendance. We do go on.
Let the record reflect we have a quorum. I've received remote participation requests from one member. Ms. Amy Pearson has requested to participate remotely for the following reason: a personal matter, specifically a scheduling conflict that prevents her attendance in person. The chair will approve that and will entertain a motion to confirm the chair's decision to approve the request to participate from a remote location, which is in conformance with the PlanRVA Commission policy for remote participation members, and by voice vote, but this will be taken by voice vote to approve the remote participating member and ensure that they can be heard by all persons at the primary central meeting location. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a motion, a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Public comments are a time where anyone who wishes to address the commission on any matter within the commission's authority is welcome to come forward. Please state your name or the entity that you represent. Is there anyone here who wishes to participate in public comment? Seeing none, we will close the public comment time. Some of y'all may have gotten word, and I just want to make a brief announcement. Dr. Newbill's husband passed away just a couple of weeks ago. The funeral service was on Saturday. It was a wonderful service, a great memorial to life of a really prominent community leader here in the city of Richmond. So I just ask that in honor of Dr. Newbill and her service, and certainly as we remember her family, we have a moment of silence. Thank you all. Next item on the agenda is amendments to the agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to amend the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion, second.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is approval of July 13th, 2023 meetings. All board members had an opportunity to review the minutes Are there any deletions, additions, or corrections? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
We have a motion, a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Waddell. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain, Mr. Chairman, was not there.
All right, the same as well, I was not here for the.
2, 3. Got it. You have those, Ms. Firestone?
I do, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item on the agenda is committee reports. We'll start with the executive committee report. We did not have a quorum. We weren't able to have a quorum, but I guess we'll get down to that in budget. But there were a couple of things we were gonna talk about, and we'll have this at the next executive committee. Some of it's our TO, table of organization, where Ms. Schickel will brief us on the plans that have been implemented to meet the executive committee and the full commission's mandates on staffing, and that's going very well. But we'll push that back a little bit till the next meeting, once we have the executive committee meeting on that. So I think you'll be very excited to hear that that's going better than planned. So that's executive committee. We do have committee members that are going to sit on the services and contracts ad hoc committee. That'll be myself, Reverend Nelson, Ms. Page, Mr. Spoonhauer, and Mr. Winslow. And when that gets kicked off, we'll bring that back to you. The next item, I am going to ask Ms. Schickel to go over that, but it's a welcome reception. We're putting together a welcome reception for newly elected officials in the region. So we know we have elections coming up in November. We're going to invite all the newly elected folks, whether they sit on the PDC or any of the regional boards or commissions, is really irrelevant to us. We just want to welcome everybody to the region. We're going to ask alumni to join us, and that's going to take place on November 16th. So mark your calendars, but I'm going to ask Martha to give us a little brief overview. We're still looking for a venue, not that we can't find one. We're just looking for one that we think is going to best serve the event and all the folks that we're going to invite. So if you can make that, that would be great. County administrators, executives, board members from the 9 localities, other regional leaders, we're hoping to be present. So Martha, you want to talk about that briefly?
Thank you. Yeah, I've spoken with some of you about this. I think one of the things that we've heard from each of you over and over again is that part of the value of being a part of the Regional Commission is the opportunity to connect with your colleagues from around the region. And so we wanted to be able to put that front and center with our those that might be joining this board or thinking about joining the board when the organizational meetings happen in January. And so the idea, as Mr. Davis said, is to be able to just create that space in a social setting for our elected officials who might be new to local government, to be able to meet all of you and to be able to start forging those relationships and connections before we hit the ground running in the new calendar year. So all of our commissioners will be invited, as well as Mr. Davis said, the alumni, and then we'll have a save the date out to those that are running for office.
Thank you, ma'am. The next item on the agenda is audit, finance, and facilities. Mr. Holland's not here, so I'm going to do an audible here. I don't know, Mr. Peterson, did you want to give an update on the finance committee? And I think Dan's here if you want to jump in.
I think I'm gonna let Dan respond to that.
All right, Dan.
The audit finance facilities meeting occurred at the end of July. We had
Dan,
a
hold on one second. Are you,
Oh, you
Can
might
you be
need to
heard
come
on-
forward.
might have to ask you to come up just to make sure you're on camera and can be heard. Thank you, Dan.
Take a seat. The Audit Finance and Facilities Committee met in July and in August. We discussed the preliminary close of June 30th for the fiscal year 2023. We also discussed a few other policy matters, including starting into reviewing our fund balance policy. We discussed some reporting items and a couple other items. The audit is commencing, so we expect to have the audit, the fiscal 23 financial statements available to you for your next meeting. Go to the committee October 31st, and then 2 days later is the actual commission meeting. The budget as well is being reevaluated, given all of the personnel changes that we've had. Specifically our director of transportation transition, but also a number of other new staff that were envisioned in the budget. We actually had 4 new positions envisioned in the budget. 2 of them are currently filled. As of yesterday, the other 2 are committed. They accepted the offers and will start in October. And the position that was vacant has also been filled this last month. So a lot of transition, a lot of turnover, and a lot of differences in the budget that we need to work through to get the priorities back in line. And the other item, I don't know, Martha, if you want to discuss it, the grant status.
We're gonna, that's coming down a little bit later as we get into item 4. What do you want to do? We'll hold.
Okay. Those are the highlights that I had.
Okay, good. And so with that, we do have, I think we've got some new folks. We talked about hiring. Do we have new folks here in the meeting?
We do,
We want to go ahead and introduce those folks?
Sure. So Holly Gordon is here. She's our new community engagement manager. Those of you that sit on the public outreach and engagement committee got to meet her at the meeting. And then in the back is Ellen Cook, our new project manager. Holly started about 3 weeks ago and Ellen started on Monday. So glad to have both of you with us. And as Dan said, we've got 3 other introductions. Eli Podima is on staff. He started earlier this summer, but he's out this week. But our 2 new hires as of yesterday will be starting next month.
Mr. Waddell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome aboard. Can I get spotlight on each of the 2 new members and ask them to give a background of their
Both will be
experience?
featured in the next newsletter,
Ah.
but yeah, absolutely. I think they've already got their profiles up on the website. Am I right about that?
Mine is, I don't know about Ellen's.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Thank you.
yeah.
At the next meeting, y'all can lead us in the national anthem. Well, welcome to the team. Thank y'all for joining us here for this meeting. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Next item on the agenda, public outreach and engagement. Mr. Davies not here. Mr. Waddell, you want to give an update?
I'm going to defer to next time. I was online and I'm not prepared, so my apologies. I'm a man of few words this morning.
A rarity indeed. The next item, the next meeting for that will also be November 16th. So, next item on the agenda, item 3D, Executive Director's Report. Ms. Schickel.
Thank you. As Dan mentioned, I wanted to give a couple of updates to share with you, more on a content side than the financial side, but we did receive the award that we were anticipating when we met in July for the Climate Pollution Reduction Planning Grant. That is a multi-year planning process that includes all of the jurisdictions in our MSA, larger than the PlanRVA footprint, as well as the tribal organization. So we're very excited. It's a $1 million grant award. We, Hampton Roads, and Northern Virginia are the 3 MSA carve-outs, and then the Department of Environmental Quality is leading the statewide plan. So we've had a couple of kickoff calls with the US EPA and DEQ to make sure that we're coordinating, and are very excited about getting started. And we're working right now with EPA to put together a press announcement event where we'll be inviting our leadership from around the region as well as our community partners to celebrate that kickoff. So stay tuned on that. I think we're trying to put it together to happen before the end of this month. I'm overdue in getting Holly some responses on some questions that she had about it, but so more to come on that. Just a couple of other updates as far as some grants pending. We were notified since our last board meeting that the Southeastern Crescent Regional Commission, this is a federally designated commission. If you're familiar with the Tennessee River Valley Authority from past recovery days, the Appalachian Regional Commission, this is a similar type of federal commission that supports communities with economic development, particularly those that are struggling with distress factors around economics. If you're familiar with the Appalachian Regional Commission, it goes from the western side of Florida up to Maine, and there's this kind of crescent in the mid-Atlantic that is not included in that commission. Southeastern Regional Crescent commission is dedicated to supporting those communities. We are fully encompassed in that area, and we were notified earlier this month that we are eligible to receive local development district funding on a formula basis. So we just are going to be submitting the application materials by tomorrow, and that will allow us to receive about $25,000 annually to support local economic development opportunities. So we're looking forward to that. We've been working with the Greater Richmond Partnership and PlanRVA to put together a U.S. Economic Development Administration Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy Planning Grant application. So that should be going in the next couple of weeks as well. And so that along with the local development district funding will help support our work with our small jurisdictions and economic development coordination, and it will also help us partner with those regional partners on the regional economic mobility framework. So we're looking forward to that. We also were notified yesterday that the renewal of the Revive annual evaluation, that's the project that we started last year with evaluating the efficacy of the training for the administration of the naproxen drug. That's been renewed, and so we'll be updating that contract again. So that'll be a new addition of revenue to our budget. We thought that was going to happen, but it wasn't confirmed at the time of the budget approval. And I'm hopeful by the next time the board meets, we will have updates on the status of our emergency management state homeland security grant programs. I think we have about 6 applications that were submitted this year for various activities in support of the Regional Emergency Management Alliance. And so we're just waiting for the governor's announcements on those. So more to come on that. I also wanted to just share that we were notified yesterday that National Association of Development Organizations is recognizing PlanRVA for 3 National Impact Award projects. So we're very excited about that. We'll make sure to include that in the next newsletter. But the projects were for our transportation program area, emergency management program area, and resiliency program areas. So we're really excited to be recognized.
How many impact awards did we get last year? 1 last year?
2.
We got 2. So we got 2 last year,
3
3
this
this
year. Yes. Yeah. So thanks to
Probably
Chet.
has something to do with the leadership of the organization.
I'm sure it does. Thanks to Chet Parsons and Katie Moody and Sarah Stewart for putting those application submittals together. And we're excited about that. So we'll be pushing that information out into the community as well. I just wanted to give some staffing updates. I think probably many of you have heard, and you've already been interacting with him in his new capacity, but I did want to recognize Chet Parsons for not leaving us, but taking on a new challenge. And he has officially started as of September 1 as the Executive Director of the Central Virginia Transportation Authority. So I think Mr. Davis and I wanted to make him switch offices, but we didn't do that. So he's still in the same spot down the hall, but we're really grateful for the partnership with the CVTA and very excited about the continued work that Chet's going to be doing and leading that organization.
I want to have some kind of, when I was notified that Chet was going to be made the executive director, obviously it was public. And, we had 2 choices. We could either congratulate him or tell him he was dead to us for leaving. So if anybody's got any beef with that, they need to talk to Mr. Carroll because he was part of that process. But I'll just say this, I don't know, I certainly don't know the applicants, and I'm sure it was extremely competitive, as y'all can imagine. I mean, to be executive director of CVTA, extremely competitive process. And while I had nothing to do with it, I just don't think there could have been a finer choice. And to have Chet come in, that's the only reason you're not moving offices, because when we first did the MOU, I told Kevin, CVTA comes in here, they're in the back office, farthest away from it. And so I think it's going to be a great partnership. We do work in tandem. CVTA's had great leadership since its inception. And I think with an executive director to handle the day-to-day, I just don't think you could have picked a better person than Chet. So we feel like, we're kind of proud because he was one of ours. He goes over there, still kind of one of ours and one of theirs too, because we work so closely together. So Kevin, I think y'all did a great job, but this is going to work for the region to have somebody who has worked so closely with PlanRVA and other regional organizations. And of course, with Martha's leadership, it's just a win-win. And again, very competitive process. I can't imagine what y'all went through. I know it was arduous going through all of those applications and those types of things, and then looking at qualifications. So I don't think it could be understated that as this region continues to move forward, and these boards are looking for strong leadership in these organizations, that we certainly got it here at PlanRVA. Now we've got it at CVTA. It's going to be a win-win for the entire region and ultimately the Commonwealth. So congratulations, Chet. We're really proud of you. And the new hires you can go over, which I skipped over earlier in advance. Martha likes it when I just run all over the agenda without any care or concern. So,
Sure, yes. I'll just kind of reiterate, we had a pretty aggressive recruitment plan with the budget that was adopted, and I'm just really proud of our staff, Diane Fusco in particular for leading this effort. We seem to go in cycles of recruitment, and then we go for a while where we don't do recruitment, and so it's been kind of exciting to have a new class of employees start with the organization. I mentioned Eli Podima started earlier this summer. Holly started just a couple weeks ago. Ellen earlier this week. Carrie Ramos and Margaret Frey will start later, either at the end of this month or the beginning of next. And that does fill all of the open positions that the board approved for this fiscal year right on schedule. And so that's very exciting because we will be kicking off 2 new recruitment processes to deal with our lead staff to the MPO and then vacancy, and then also the grants position that had been approved by the board as another new position for this year. And so I just wanted to commend the staff for the work that they have done to participate in interviews. It's a real team approach in how we screen candidates and go through that recruitment process. And again, Diane having led sort of the entire process for each of those has just been really great. And I think it's been a smoother process than normal to be able to get those positions filled. So we are looking forward to featuring our new staff in our upcoming newsletters and making introductions this fall, so that all of you get to know who these new people are. The last thing I wanted to just update is say thanks to Mr. Carroll and members of the Chesterfield board for including me in the agenda earlier in August, last month, I guess. Time flies, doesn't it? Pardon? Yes, it does. Yeah, I can't believe we're in the middle of September already. It was great to be at Chesterfield County Board of Supervisors. I think most of you know, but Chesterfield County and Charles City County are dual members of both the planning district here in Richmond as well as in the Crater region. And so the new Crater Executive Director, Jay Ellington, and I got to stand together in front of the board and just talk a little bit about the opportunities that we have as 2 planning districts, 2 commissions to work together. So Crater is our partner in the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant, our partner in the administration of the Emergency Management Alliance. We work very closely through the coordination of the 2 MPOs that serve Tri-Cities in the Richmond area. And I think probably somebody on the Crater staff is in conversation with somebody on the PlanRVA staff on a weekly basis. So it's just been a really great opportunity to get to know Jay. He's been with Crater now, I think, for 3 months, sounds about right, I think. And it's just been a really great addition to the PDC family across Virginia. So we're excited to have him here and looking forward to the continued work together. And that, I think, is everything I had planned to say.
I just have 2 additional comments. Just want to remind folks, of course, Hanover's going through their comp plan. We had a public hearing last night. And we know other folks are looking at, how many localities right now are either getting ready? Who's starting their comp plan this coming up year? Anybody? Yeah, okay. Just want to remind folks that we are up and running on our local technical assistance opportunities. As you remember, we cut a deal with NATO, and so we have a lot of information available to our members through that. We also have staff available. Martha kind of glassed over the $1 million grant, but I mean, that's huge. And that means that everybody in this room should be commended. That was not a small undertaking, and so we should be really proud of that. I think there's more of those types of things to come, but I just want to remind people that we are here, you are here, and the leadership that you lead. local technical assistance, whether it's land use, we know we have some economic development opportunities. Folks are talking about, different things, particularly comp plans and transportation. Just remind your executives back at your localities and your esteemed colleagues that what y'all have put in place here with the local support side as it relates to the technical assistance program, just wait for the phone to ring. We're gonna reach out, but if the phone rings, we're gonna answer and we're gonna provide that support to the localities. And thanks to your leadership, that program is going very well. I wish Sarah was here. I don't see Sarah. But
She's in her office.
yeah, she's in her office working on more grants. So that's a great thing. Anything else? Anything from any commission members? Anyone? Anything from staff? I'm hesitant. Mr. Attorney, anything? Yes, sir. Okay. All right, well, if we have nothing else, Ms. Firestone, it is 9:56. We are adjourned.
That's be a new record.
We're good.
Be a new record.